Peace, peace, peace. So, hail to you, Bull of the West. So says Thoth. So, hail to all my bulls of the West, all my Osiris's, all my Atums, all my Batas, and things of that nature. I just really want to speak to the rising of ancient Egyptian energy and kind of a channel for which I received, and where I kind of took some things that kind of tied in where it might make sense to you, it might not, but I just kind of want to go on record that if you kind of feeling this energy rising to the surface, it's time to really follow it and see what this is about. So, Atum, his name is based on the ancient Egyptian term which means finish or complete. In order to finish or complete, one has to begin. So Atum is a creator god, and he is the father in the first god, and he's created many different aspects of himself. One of the mighty aspects would be the energy of Osiris, and Osiris being the god of the West. And so there is a bull of the West in ancient Egyptian mythology, which in my personal opinion, I think that it speaks to America and the energy or how that ancient Egyptian mythology got to America was by the way of the deity or the entity known as Jesus, and where it was prophesied in the Book of the Dead, where I'm taking this from, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Book of Going Forth by Day, in Plate 5, it mentions, Hail to you, Bull of the West. And so, Hail to you is also taken from the word Jesus Christ, or Isus, or Isis, which just simply means Hail Zeus, or equal to Zeus. And then Christos is the primordial Christos energy, or the Christ energy. So hail to you, Bull of the West. Something to just remember as we go through this video. Another connection between Egyptian mythology is the connection between Ra, Atum, and Nun. Okay, so Ra, Atum, and Nun represents Ra, fire, Atum, earth, Nun, water, and then you have Abraham, which is the father, source, or founder of a multitude according to truthunity.org, meaning that Abraham is said to be the source or the founder of the religion and all of its constituents, more of like a herd mentality or a whole bunch of people, which connects more to the bull too. But the bull speaks more into what we're getting ready to connect all of this energy to. So let me just take a second to think again. Okay, so Atum is the myth merged with one of the great sun god Re, giving rise to the deity Ra Atum. When distinguished from Re, Atum was the creator's original form, living inside of Nun, the primordial waters of chaos. So at creation, he emerged to engender himself to the gods, and gender means to give rise to a feeling, situation, or condition. So if Atum was to engender himself to the gods, meaning he created this whole thing. So he was identified with the setting sun and was shown as an age figure who had to be regenerated during the night. So very interesting now that we are dealing to the root of creation mythologies and things of that nature, because if you can understand the root, then from there you're able to understand what will precede you. And so Apep represented the opposite to the positive energy, or the opposite to the sun. And Apep shows up in Christian mythology as Satan, as you know, the serpent. You know, just a tirelessly energy that's always trying to bring chaos, that's always trying to ruin the relationship, you know, that sin and the things of that nature. And so Set or Apep or Apophis is the energy for which the world was created. And so this sets up the idea of twin deities. And twin deities is how two deities come together to make a new deity. And the deity Apis, the sacred bull deity, was an original deity. It was prophesied that the bull deity would be worshipped in the west, and Memphis was to be west and east. So where you have Memphis in Egypt, you have Memphis in America, and the sacred bull would be the identifier for both spots. And where in America you don't necessarily worship a particular bull because that would just give it away. You tend to worship Jesus. So Apis was probably at first a fertility god concerned with the propagation of grain and herds, but he became associated with Ptah, the paramount deity of the Memphite area, and also with Osiris. So we just want to keep that in mind. Apis can be associated with or could be a twin deity of. Also, Apis Atum, which is a twin deity of the ancient primordial energy and the bull energy of the West. And so I guess imagine life goes on around this time. You're talking about 29, 25 BC, and then you enter Ptolemy around 305 BC. That's probably, you know, 25, 2800 years later. Everybody's worshiping the bull, like everything is cool. And then Ptolemy comes in. Ptolemy Soter was I think, a part of a captain or a general of Alexander the Great, and Ptolemy or however you want to pronounce it became the pharaoh of Egypt, and he wanted the Egyptians to consecrate him as a god. And he wanted to be called a god because that was the title that pharaohs of Egypt were called before him. However, the people of Egypt refused to call him a god because they knew the only reason he became the pharaoh was through force. So he said, okay, I'm going to kill more people. And so he just kept killing and killing and killing. And finally, the Egyptian priests at Memphis gave in to his request by agreeing to consecrate him to priesthood. So I think we could look at this as a turning point in history, and you can look at it as a mistake. But I tend to look at it as prophecy, as how the Egyptian mythology or the Egyptian religion was going to make it over to the West. Because if you don't have Jesus, I guess you could still say Allah, or you know, the Muslim is a connection to Egypt, and Judaism is a connection to Egypt. But for most part, the Jesus mythos is kind of ingrained and brought up and through Egypt, just like the Bible. And so the deity that Ptolemy and the Egyptians consecrated. So I don't feel like I would take that lightly. Consecrate. The word consecrate, which simply means to make sacred. Uh, Meaning that he got introduced to all of the mysteries. So when they say Jesus was down in Egypt and being introduced to all the mysteries, this is more or less what they're speaking to, where he's consecrated into priesthood and begat this figure of Serapis. And Serapis was the first unknown deity. Like he just came out of nowhere. There's no mythology around him. He's just the unknown deity. And then when you ask Christians or particular Jews or particular Muslims, what does God look like? He is the unknown God. And what they are referring to is this man right here, Serapis. All Judeo-Christian worshippers and followers, whether knowingly or unknowingly, worship this image, Serapis. The Emperor Hadrian, in a letter to the Consul Severinus in AD 134, asserts that the worshippers of the sun god Serapis in Egypt were Christians, and that these sun worshippers called themselves bishops of Christ. So, where you might be confused about it, it's very simple to understand. Over time, in the Bible, even Paul, he never speaks of an image of what Jesus looked like. Because in Gnosticism, Jesus represented a particular energy, a particular realization. He wasn't a particular person, but the introduction of Serapis into Gnosticism created the idea of Christianity. So you have a multitude of paganism, and then you have a multitude of Egyptian mythology, and it's just all put together into this one entity. And whether you know it or not, that entity falls into the realm of Serapis, and the people who feed off the energy of Serapis are, you would say, murderers, creeps, bad people. And it's not really even far-fetched to even think about it, because when you think about the Christian church and the community, and you think about the Catholic Church and the things that they do to children, when you really think about the higher echelons of government and politics, where they have to kind of be a Christian, like presidents and things of that nature. So you could kind of see that it's not simply about Jesus or this thing being good. It's about a particular dark energy that was created that people don't necessarily know the roots or the darkness of. So he who is not either an astrologer, a soothsayer, or a minister to obscene pleasures, and though they proclaim their allegiance to either Serapis or Christ, their only real God is money. More or less what's actually happening today. So understanding how this thing kind of flowed and how this thing kind of metamorphosized to where it is now, I find that you find real great pleasure by unlocking these particular codes and really understanding these things at a deeper level, so you won't be confused, so you just don't simply hate it, you simply understand it. One of the transliterations of Jesus Christ is Isis or Isus. So where we'll talk about Isis and think that we're talking about the god of, Egypt, her name is Aset. And Isis is literally saying, Hail Zeus. Isis. Isis, like I am, or even to the level where it could be equal to, I am Zeus. So the phonetics and the etymology to the words and studying the root causes to what's created today can really awaken you to what you can do by dealing with those primordial forces. In a quick abstract, you could simply backtrack and think about it in a sense of, if they're able to create all of this gumption and all of these different things by manipulating the primordial energy, think about what you can do if you begin to manipulate the primordial original energy. you will become more than a god because your heart is pure. And now we just have to deal with the understanding. So I hope this video served a purpose and caused some value and allowed you to look up some things on your own. Peace.